Okay, everybody, this is your superintendent, Mr. Abitable here. I am accepting Mr. Burrell's challenge. I told him that I would make some homemade raviolis. This has been a family tradition of ours. This is typically served for Christmas dinner and Easter dinner. We are going to make a much more scaled version down than what I would normally do for the holidays. So this is going to be done in a bunch of different parts. First we're going to make the dough, then we're going to make the filling. Then we're going to assemble we're going to roll out the dough, then we're going to assemble the raviolis, then we're going to cook the raviolis, and then of course the last part is everyone's favorite, and then we're going to eat the raviolis. We'll throw a very quick red sauce together, no meat, just a quick marinara sauce for dinner tonight. So very simple pasta dough recipe. It is I think 4 ingredients. 10 ounces of all-purpose flour. We do like King Arthur flour in this house, but any all-purpose flour. We need 8 eggs. We're going to use 6 egg yolks and 2 whole eggs. That adds some richness and some color to the dough. A good pinch of salt, probably like a tablespoon of salt, and I think about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So I'm going to take a minute to put all of that together, and we'll pick it up from there. About 1.2 pounds of pasta dough. This is the pasta dough that we use for everything, and you'll see when we get done with the raviolis, whatever scraps that we have, we'll actually cut those up to make fettuccinis or linguinis or something else to cook. So we have our KitchenAid mixer here. Everything is in the bowl. I'm going to put the dough hook on, and I'm going to mix this for probably 5 to 7 minutes. It's going to form a nice ball of dough, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so we've been mixing this dough for maybe 8 minutes. It's coming together pretty nicely. Just to show everybody, everything kind of pulls apart from the bowl. And it's got this nice yellow color to it from all of the egg yolk that we put into it. Now this dough needs to rest. So I have a nice piece of plastic wrap here. We are going to wrap this dough in the plastic wrap, throw it in the fridge for about an hour. We'll do it. This dough, it cannot be made a day ahead of time, by the way, because of all the egg in it. So it has to be processed the day that you make the dough. So we're going to put this in the fridge for an hour. In the meantime, we're going to make the filling for the ravioli. So this is a pretty simple cheese filling. I have a 2-pound container of whole milk ricotta here. I like whole milk over skim. I like to put it in a strainer to get any excess liquid out because that'll just make the ravioli a little bit better. We're just going to put this in a bowl. And along with this, we have some fresh grated cheese. This is, I think it's usually whatever you have on hand. I think it's half Parm, half Romano. I would say about a cup of this. We have equal parts of basil and parsley. I chopped all this up. I would say maybe a 1/4 cup of parsley grated and a 1/4 cup of basil grated. You want to, or minced, I'm sorry. You want to hold the basil off until the last minute so it doesn't start to oxidize. And 1 whole egg. We'll mix this up and we'll get everything back together once the dough is rested. So we let the dough rest for an hour. We've had the filling in the refrigerator as well. I've taken the dough that we've had, I've cut it into about 4 equal pieces. We've got just plain old flour here. A bowl of flour is always good to have around. You want to put a whole bunch of flour on this dough after you flatten it out a little bit. It'll help it go through the roller. If you've never used a pasta roller before, what this is 2 metal wheels, and there's a setting on it, and depending on how you move it, the 2 metal wheels will get farther apart or closer. So we start with it as far apart as it'll go. I'll run it through a couple times, and then I'll change it to make it 1 closer, run it through a couple times, 1 closer, and I think we'll probably stop it on, I think we usually do number 5, so that'll just take a minute, and I'll show you what a sheet of pasta looks like once it's been run through. sheet of pasta looks like. This is a quarter of about we have. So we're going to do this 3 more times, and then I'll show you how to fill them. Okay, so we rolled out all of our pasta dough. It came out, like I said, we cut it in quarters, and we got just about 4 equal sheets. I know not everybody has this handy dandy little gadget here, but these are set about 3 inches apart. You can always just eyeball it. You don't need to be as precise as we are with this, but we do this quite a bit, so this comes in handy. And as you can see, when you kind of cut this, we're going to get 5 nice pieces of pasta that we're going to make into a ravioli. So I'm going to take a second and I'm going to cut all these out, and then we'll show how to fill them and seal them. So next step is to fill a ravioli. So I've got my little scooper here. This is probably maybe a tablespoon or so. You could just use a spoon if you want to. And this again is whole milk ricotta, Parmesan, Romano cheese, some minced up basil, parsley, and an egg to bind it all together. It was chilling in the refrigerator with the dough. I'm going to take a scoop of this. I'm going to put it towards one end of the ravioli. And we're going to, maybe I'll do this upside down. So we're going to fold it in half, and I'm going to pinch around the outsides. And what I'm trying to do is get all of the air out of the ravioli, so they look something like this. And I'm going to push this pretty tight. And then to make sure that it's sealed, I'm going to take a fork, and I dip the fork in a little bit of flour so it doesn't stick. And this is the part that my grandfather used to do. And I'm just going to go around the edge with the fork, and that kind of crimps it. And then if you really want to make it pretty, I've got this little wheel. I have no idea what this thing is called, but puts a nice little edge on it. So again, I'll dip that in flour, and I will just run that right around the perimeter. There we have 1 out of 36 of our handmade ravioli. So what we're going to do is, I've got just some plain old baking sheets here, and I put some semolina flour. If you don't have semolina, you could just use cornmeal. And while we're making the rest of these, this is just going to sit in this pan. What happens is the semolina or the cornmeal makes it so the ravioli won't stick to the pan, and we're going to finish all these up, and I'm going to have a little bit of help when I do it. So sit tight, and we are going to fill in the rest of these 35 ravioli. Okay, so this is Ellis, who's 6.5 years old. So she's been doing this for 6 years. She's got 6 years experience. And this is my son Gavin, who's almost 10 years old. So he's been doing this for almost 10 years. So they have probably almost as much experience in this as I do. Finished up, we have 36 raviolis. We took the leftover, all the little trimmings, and we kind of cut those up a little bit. We'll eat those later with dinner. I have a big pot of boiling water, probably bigger than you need, and a lot of salt, probably more salt than you need. You want the water to taste a little salty. These are fresh. I'm just going to put a couple in here quick. They only take a couple of minutes to cook, nice and carefully, so they don't stick together. Once I put them in, I like to give them a little stir just to make sure they're not sticking to the bottom or anything. Okay, they're going to cook for only a couple of minutes. I also made a little pot of sauce. This is very simple. I have a number 10 can of tomatoes, which is one of these sizes. You can just get 3 of the 32-ounce cans if you want. I like the whole tomatoes, and then I crush them up. Put it all in here, olive oil, parsley, basil, probably more garlic than you think. I think I did about 15, 16 cloves of garlic, all minced up fine. and a little bit of chili flake. This is just a marinara sauce, a marinade sauce, so it cooks in 20-30 minutes. This is not an all-day sauce like a meat sauce or a gravy, but this is what we're going to eat for dinner tonight. And while they finish up, we're going to take just a little bit of our sauce on the bottom. These are done. A little bit more sauce on the top. We put a little bit of grated Parmesan, and I tend to like things spicy, so this is the same old chili flake you probably get in the pizzeria. This is how we like it. And that's it. Homemade raviolis. Cheese, we're going to probably cook the rest of these tonight. If not, they can go in the freezer like this. That's what we like to do. And then once they're frozen, come back tomorrow, put them in a Ziploc bag, and they'll stay in your freezer. But bon appetit. Thank you guys very much. And as always, it's a great day to be a knight. Perfect.